Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Open Shed podcast. We only just managed to get everyone here together. There was only probably today's the day, isn't it? You're off tomorrow on your holidays, and
This morning.
yeah, Dad got back yesterday from his little trip, and so yes, it's pretty hard to get us all together.
Busy time of the year with holidays. It's tough.
Leisure's taken up too much time. So anyway, guys, we got a couple of things to say before we get into the podcast. We do actually have a sponsor for today's podcast. That's Murder Lighting. That's MURDA Lighting. So we've had a bit to do with them the last year or so, and we've been running a couple of their lights, we've been trying out a few ones for him too. And we've had a good result with them, haven't we? I'm the only one with the light bar on my ute, so you guys don't really know how good that is. But
yeah. When you come the opposite way on the road the other day, I knew how good it was.
It is nice.
Thieves like them too.
Yes,
yeah, they're really popular.
Yeah, apparently. So anyway, so so if anyone is looking for a set of lights, they do a couple of different size of light bars. They do a 30-inch and a 20-inch. And they do some work lights too. And I think I did hear that he's coming out with a big whopper of a work light at some point. So keep your eyes peeled for that. So go and check them out on the website. There'll be a link in the description. The other thing is I'm uploading the podcast to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you want to go there to listen to them, you can. We've finally got around to doing that. So with all that out of the road, 2024. Well, we're halfway through January of 2025, but no time like the present to do a recap.
It's done.
So,
be good to repeat it, really. We had
just have another
had
one
a
then?
month and a half on our big trip around Australia, and had good yields, good crops.
Must have been because you guys went away.
Yeah,
Got good yields.
You were.
It was who you left in charge.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So. But yes, no. All in all, it was a very profitable year in that. Yields were just really good all round, pretty well. Chickpeas were the standout, weren't they?
Yield and price. It's just tallying up our rainfall chart for last year. It was 625 mils, so it's about smack on our annual average rainfall. But it just happened in nice stages. It wasn't all at once.
Yes.
So, it's amazing, when you get it at the right time, how good that is for the crops.
Yes.
What is it, about 600 mil, 24 inch, isn't it? Our average?
Yep. 625, something there. Yeah. So that's very good.
Of course, the development blocks a bit more than that.
Have we noticed any? It's technically a couple inches more annual rainfall there because it's a bit further south. But have we actually noticed? Does it? Yeah. It kind of does seem to get more rain, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep. In the hills, probably more. Probably get more out of each rain event, maybe. But,
yeah, it does. Well, it got 30 mil the other day. We only got 12 here on the cotton, didn't we? Which
It's a good block for that. The hills are alive with the sound of rain.
It's the problem is that they get more rain, but you need to deal with the water on the hills a bit more, don't you?
Yes.
So, I think what do we do? Well, wheat was pretty average, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it just did.
It was I think average 5.5 tonne to the hectare or something. So.
Yep, but the price was down.
It was
probably a bit.
Yeah, about $300 a tonne. So it's a bit lower than what the last few years had been at 400 plus a tonne. But what wrecks good prices is good prices.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say bad prices wreck good prices.
That's very simplistic. And linseed struggled, didn't it? But at the end, it kind of clawed back a little bit more than what we thought. But it was a bit of a
full disclosure. It went in the worst paddock.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It didn't get the pick of the land, but. And what else did we grow?
chickpeas and barley.
Oh, a little bit of barley near my house there. That went surprisingly well for that
Yeah, that was really good.
block.
Love that red country.
Yeah, it's a little bit more sandy, so it's can struggle, but
Sunday country.
yeah. And
Prices were not too bad, I suppose.
Yeah, we haven't sold it yet. It's still in
That
the
was-
silo.
yeah, that was good barley though. That wasn't itchy at all, was it?
No, it is good.
That was a pleasure to harvest. It's less itchy than wheat,
Yeah, Neo is the go.
so that was you have to pinch yourself.
N-E-O. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to pinch yourself thinking, am I harvesting barley here? I'm not itchy. So we probably predominantly it was chickpeas and wheat though, wasn't it? So that was the main.
We were sort of tossing up at the start whether we'd go a bit of canola and a bit of chickpeas and for our rotation and that, and the weather forecast, we thought, well, we might try the chickies, go a bit harder on them. So, yeah, worked out well this year.
Sometimes those decisions don't work out so well though.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this year. It might be the opposite, but yeah,
Yes.
you don't know.
No.
But yeah, the double crop chickpeas, they were, what, a tonne and a half to the hectare. Versus up here was at over 3.5. So yeah, definitely was a short fallow crop was the go, but the double crop was still profitable because it come off a good cotton crop. So
So being able to do that really, that as an option is a very nice thing for here.
It's like the cherry on the cake.
You're full of your little sayings today, are you?
Yes.
That's good.
I'm sharp.
You studied up.
I'm ready for me holiday.
So,
So we had good prices too, didn't we, overall, with the chickies? Like, it was real high, like $1,000, and then it dropped, like I won't use any sayings for that, but it dropped to like 700, and then it clawed its way back a bit, so we managed to not get the bottom and well, we got the top for some of it.
Yeah, we'll sort it in the middle there.
In the middle.
there was a bit of a panic for a while, didn't know how low it was going to drop, but
I think one day I counted 75 phone calls since from morning tea to afternoon.
you're doing your marketing.
Yeah, with the chickpeas.
Yes.
Because it was every time you go to get a price, the buyer would take half hour to get back to you, and the price dropped another $20 a tonne. So I was just going round and round.
What was the biggest drop? About $100, wasn't it, in a day? Or 150 in a day?
Probably 100 at the worst
Yeah.
part, but
So how many grey hairs did you push out?
a few. Yeah.
But it was funny. We were saying afterwards though that it's like even $700 a tonne's a pretty good price. but
It is.
but it's just that
Everyone's-
you know that there was $1,000 a tonne right there. It was just there, but
But everyone's got to do their budgets, and you've got to, when you're doing your budget and you know that the cost is pretty high, you know where the number is that you need to make it work. And then when that number suddenly gets threatened, it is very challenging.
Because we can't just say, oh, we're just going to, this is what we want and they pay it. It doesn't work like that in the farming world.
No, it works in a lot of other businesses, doesn't it? The old primary producer gets the raw end of the stick.
They tell us, your fertiliser's this amount. Okay.
What do they reckon?
and they say we're paying you this amount for your grain,
And then we're paying
Okay.
you this amount.
But someone said that farmers pay retail, and
I was just about to say that. I heard I don't know who it was that I heard ages ago. They said, yeah, farming's the only business that you pay retail and sell wholesale. So we pay retail for every input, and we have to sell everything at wholesale. So, anyway, we don't want to sound like a bunch of whingers, do we?
No, but, well, let's find out. Someone else might know out there that there's other industries like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, it's
yeah.
a challenge, isn't it? Like, this is farming, it's a challenge, and
producing.
we just got to work around these parameters, I suppose, don't we?
No, we're not going to slash our wrists, are we?
No, but we got machinery costs are skyrocketing for the new machines. We got price of the inputs are all going up.
Well, the one exception to that is chemicals has gone, like it's quite cheap now. But yeah, the starter price is still up there. The urea price and gas, they've dropped off a fair bit since the high, but they're still up there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say they're low, would you?
No.
What are we now? $1,000 or $1,200 a tonne for gas?
Yeah, 1,300.
And what did it get up to 15? Did it?
2,000.
Over 2,000.
Yeah.
2,800 at the highest. We never bought
We
it at
paid
that.
1,900, I think, our highest.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
all fun and games, they say.
Yep. That's what makes it exciting.
It's definitely
And-
exciting.
Thanks,
the,
Toby, for making C&H machinery so expensive. Thumbs up, Toby.
Completely
Throw
that's
him
the
under
most-
the bus.
That's the most unmerited throwing under of the bus I've ever seen.
That's not very nice.
No.
They helped get you over
They
to
took us
WA.
to Western Australia.
and chauffeured you around.
Yeah,
Like, what could you
Brad,
ask?
you've got to change your attitude if you want someone to sponsor us to the Farm Progress Show.
Yeah,
But he
no,
could
that's
do
true.
that because he's making so much money.
So we apologise, Toby.
Yeah, they apologise. No, we love you, Toby.
No, so I think have we tied it off on the recap? Has anyone else got anything to say for the 2024 before we can move on
No, it was average rainfall, but at the right time, good yields. The early chickpeas, that was my idea, but they didn't pan out very good, so don't go super early with your chickpeas.
That was disease, wasn't it? Probably
Disease.
20% wiped out with disease, maybe.
Yeah, you went
Everyone-
2.5.
Everyone will say that knows about chickpeas. Say, yeah,
Told
we'd
you
know
so.
that. We'd know
Told
that
you
happened.
Brad needs to just confirm. 100 people can tell him something, but he needs to confirm it for himself.
Nothing like a bit of pain to learn.
Admittedly, but if it was a drier finish, I think they would have gone not too bad.
Yeah.
Would have.
You know, it's just we had a very wet September, didn't we? And that didn't suit that crop at all.
It still went. It wasn't a failure by any means, so it wasn't.
No.
But
Just needed a growth regulant.
she was thick. That was harvesting chickpeas felt like canola there in some spots, didn't it?
Did you guys find that coming back from the break, like around our little trip, you come back with a better mindset, or do you reckon it?
Yeah, for the first week.
No, you had a week. You had a week lamenting coming back to
Yeah.
work, and then you have a week of a good attitude, and then and it's just back to normal.
Yeah, the old holiday blues. No, it was very, very nice to get away, and yeah, I think you be a little bit more objective about stuff sometimes when you come back. It was good. We had Matt and Josiah man in the fort, and Uncle Ian too, and just had the in-crop sprays and a few things to do while we were away. Didn't leave it all up to you.
No, there was a
That's the
few.
issue.
There was a few breakdowns too, which is always the way.
Well, I suppose we had Johnny and we've had Robbo too. And
Yep.
so they've moved on, and Robbo's happily working away for another earth moving company in town, and he's busy. And I think Johnny's down in Tasmania, in the coal country. Yeah,
So
maybe
no,
you
that
might pick
was-
some apples.
You
Cherries.
kick him the drum
Cherries.
there,
I
Dad.
just kicked I didn't kick the bucket.
You kick the can.
Yeah, so no, that's true. Those guys finished up. Johnny was with us 3 years,
Something like that.
and Robbo was probably similar, wasn't he? It was a similar time. So the work for the grader kind of tapered off a bit, didn't it? And it was just a bit of a
Yeah, it's went a
Timing
bit
thing.
tight. I think all that flood money dried up, and yeah,
and that's hopefully those guys can keep trucking and have fun.
Wish him all the best.
So, speaking of Toby, Brad, we can naturally move on to the CR11 and the trip.
look out, look out.
So,
We just stay silent here, Dad.
no, you guys ask questions that you want to know, and we'll make them up. We'll
This
make
is a
up the
Brad and
answers.
Matt show, this one.
Yeah, we'll give ourselves 10 minutes, if that. Hey, Brad, is that all we need?
Only a couple of minutes, really.
Yeah.
We can go and have a look at the CR at 10.
Just wake me up. It's too early for me, isn't it?
They might have some questions.
Yeah. Just at least pretend you're listening. It gives off a bad vibe if you're just dozing off there. So yeah, no, we. I'm sure everyone that's listening, or most people that are listening, would have seen the video when we went to Western Australia. So it was literally, I got a phone call on a Thursday morning saying, would you like to go and have a look at CR11 demoing over in Western Australia? And got 2 tickets if you want. And I was like, okay, I can't think of a good reason or an excuse to say no, so let's go for it. So yeah, Brad and I went over there. That was only 4 days later after
Went
that
over
phone
on
call.
the Monday.
Went over on the Monday, came back on the Wednesday. So a very, very quick trip, but and we didn't really know how it was all going to pan out as far as because it was being demoed. It had a certain amount of hectares it needed to get for the day. So it's not like we just had free for all to go over the machine and do whatever we want with it. So we had to work in with Macintosh and Son over there, the dealers, because it's their demo. They buy the demo and then they demo it around. So we had to work in with them, and those guys were really, really good about
Quite
it all. So
helpful.
they were very, very nice. Josh, the driver, he was full of knowledge, and that was good, wasn't it? Just being able to.
Nice fella.
He's a mechanic, I think. He was operating it, so he knew all about it. So that was really good. But we were blown away by a couple of things, eh?
Yeah, no, good innovation.
Good
innovation.
It's probably just what surprised me the most is probably, and we don't really know exactly how they do it. We know the theory, but it'd be great to see an animated diagram of it working, but how they work with the sieves, how it lengthens and shortens one side of the sieve area to throw the grain either left or right to keep the or the chaff left or right to keep the sieves full and level. So if you're on a hill or whatever, instead of the self-levelling shoe which our headers and the previous generation used, which takes up a lot of space because it's got a big pivot and all of that, and the bushes are on the inside. It's hard to work on, and that. That was very interesting to see.
Simple but very technical.
Because of that, because they get rid of the self-levelling shoe, they've got a whole lot more sieve capacity.
Run out of juice, did you?
Yeah, no, battery went flat. Whoops.
Talk too long.
Yeah, no, where were we? Yeah, we're talking about CR11, so...
The sieve.
The sieves, yeah. So the sieve capacity, that redesigning was very impressive. And I think it's nearly another couple of metres squared of sieve capacity, isn't it? And the lot longer rotor. So the thrashing capacity was just crazy.
You mentioned it was 8 square metres sieve capacity. Is that counting the bottom sieve as well? That'd have to be.
8.5 or 8.7, I think.
Including the...
It's under wind, so I presume they include the bottom sieve.
But the thrashing capacity, because it was over there at the demo, we were harvesting real low, a lot of material going through it, and I think they had the concave setting at like 30, and 30 mils, which is really, really open, and it was still thrashing it too hard, wasn't it? It was a weather damaged crop a bit, but still it was.
Did you rub a head out with your hand?
I did.
See how easy it was shelling out?
I did. It was coming out pretty easy, but yeah, just the sheer material that it was dealing with.
We would never run at 30, even with a low crop like a weather damaged crop, would we?
And I think he said the setup they had on the sieves, they could even change that around, but there was no need to. It was just doing it too easy. Then probably the other main point was the engine orientation, wasn't it? So the engine is slanted forward, it runs north-south and slants forward to match the same or similar plane to the rotors, which your rotors are your main horsepower draw, aren't they? So having that sort of all lined up without having unis or right angle drives unis that are at an angle or right angle drives, for your high horsepower draw.
So it wasn't level.
The motor.
Motor.
No.
That makes
slanted.
it a bit hard with oil, eh?
Well,
they must.
I'm sure they've thought
they
about it.
adjust it with the dipstick.
Hey, we've got to drive up a contour so the engine's level.
Yeah. Lower the back tyres.
So and then because of that, then they've got the radiators in between the motor and the grain bin, and they're the whole width of the. Instead of stacking a radiator in front of the other and then have one big fan, they've got them all stacked side by side, and then 3 fans blowing all the air through 2 big rotary screens on the other side of it, right at the back of the grain bin, wasn't it? And then it's blowing all that air over the motor, over the back of the machine, which after we were there, it had been running for probably 2 or 3 hours, and then with the wind blowing right up its backside, and so there was dust everywhere, and we got up there and it looked like someone had blown it down. Like you could barely see any dust, any straw or anything up there. So that was really good. And the air cleaner setup, they use that system there to they suck air from the rotary screen, I think, area, and then it's got a little positive suction thing that takes out anything that gets through. And like they were saying that they just sort of said they do it every 100 hours because that's just an easy number to remember, whereas they probably don't need to in a lot of conditions.
It's a great idea, not having to get up the back to get your air filter and blow it out.
Having the filter down low was good. It was just, they'd thought about everything, it seemed, didn't it? And
The bad part about it is you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Toby. With the drives the way they got, they're a lot more efficient, so they're utilising their horsepower better. And it's like on our dozer that runs a tail shaft from the engine or the torque converter to the gearbox. They run them straight. That way, it's very efficient. So there's no ride angle, it's just 180 gears basically, which is no real power loss, is it?
So you said probably one thing you didn't like was maybe the belts on the cooling fan, but you can see why they've done it for efficiency with power.
Horsepower efficiency, they would have done it. And it is a very New Holland thing. That's what I did like about it. Is even though it was in a lot of ways different, it wasn't. Like it still felt like a New Holland, and you could work your head around it.
The AF11 would be the same. So
yes, it's made in.
So you didn't feel like it was a case, the New Holland.
If it was red, maybe.
You feel like the case is a New Holland.
Yeah, well, I think they've probably done a bit of both.
We had the twin rotors, didn't you? So that's very New Hollandish.
Yeah, I think if I would like to see probably some hydraulic motors on the fan drive for your cooling.
But you need the bigger motor.
Need horsepower
to make up for the loss of horsepower.
Yes, and I mean it's a bit like then you can do things like you can vary your fan speed based on temperature. Like their Steiger's running that, the dozers run it, the grader runs it. There's a lot of stuff that's running hydraulic fans. It just gives you that scope.
I just love the sound of how the scale, like how it's probably matched really well. Like if you can have your engine running at 100%, not overheating, and there's no sieve loss, it's thrashing good.
Yeah,
like that's awesome. That's really what I'd love. With our headers, if you could do that.
We really struggle in Australia.
It's not just about chipping and getting the horsepower. You've got to. Then you start throwing it out the back. Like
you got to have the cooling package to deal with the horsepower too. Which what did he say? They were working at 40 something. 44 degree day, and he was pushed. And we thought he was meaning that they were backing off to 80%, but he said no, we're on 100% all day. Just as fast as it'll go. And what degrees he say?
102.
So it just got to the bottom of the yellow. So it was getting warm, but like you think if we were trying to do that at 100% all day, at 44 degrees...
Header 1 at 100% would overheat in the first run.
At a 20 degree day.
At a 35 degree day.
So we'd one of the engines would kick a leg out of bed if we tried that.
Was it a tier 4 or tier 2?
2.
Yep. So that's the other thing we didn't specify, because we were a bit rushed because they had to get the machine going again when we were looking at it because they had the hectares to get done that day just with their program. But because it's an Australian... The Australian models don't have the AdBlue system, so there's a lot more space next to the motor.
Juice.
Yeah, the government juice. there's a lot more space next to the motor, which is really open and
Reality is you'd be able to fit another engine in next to it.
one engine for each rotor. Brad.
What do you
reckons.
reckon if we stuck a 3508 in there?
I reckon you could fit
D11
it.
engine.
I reckon you'd
Man,
fit
that'd
it.
sound nice.
It's the same horsepower.
The torque, eh?
Oh,
I did think about
twist
it.
that tail shaft.
Yeah.
You could go rock crushing with it then, Brad.
Be everything else. It was very good, that part of it with the drive system and that. I thought was very, very good. So
And what is it? An 18 tonne bin, weight 17, 18 tonne.
20,000
Pretty-
litre, but
Pretty impressive.
yeah, I think in
feels-
that weight we're only ever going to get 14 or 15 in there.
Yeah, it's a bit light, but it is funny that it's all scale because you're doing the bin fills up real quick, even at that size.
And what are they with the 60-foot McDon front? 2 million or something? 1.9?
We didn't get a indefinite figure, did we? 1.8, something like that, maybe 2.
I heard 1.5, but I'm not sure whether that was just
That's
for the
just for
machine.
the combine, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Brad's converted you all to saying combine now, eh?
Combine.
Instead of header.
very American. But
Brad's-
the reality is, getting back to that temperature thing, like in Australia, even my mate Dan, he drives the green one, like over 35, 38 degrees, you can't drive them flat anyway because of the temperature. So, we're just trying to get the northerners in that hemisphere to realise that we just need big cooling packages. It's just a reality of farming in Australia.
Say harvest in the snow.
Yeah, they're trying to beat the snow. We're trying to
They
beat the
use
heat
the
wave.
heaters. We
Yeah.
use our air cons.
Yeah,
So that was pretty cool. And some of you guys might think 102 on your coolant is hot, and it is. Typically old school thinking, you wouldn't want to be over 95, would you, Dad? Or, 200 degrees Fahrenheit is probably your limit on your old engines. But these new ones seem to run around that, even your modern cars. Probably 105. I've seen them even get up to 110, and they seem to be okay. So it is high for old standard, but for new standard, 102 seems to be its happy place.
Well, yeah, he said that was right on the bottom of the yellow. So obviously it's not where it wants to be all day every day, but for a 44-degree day,
No, that's right.
That's more than acceptable. Like they weren't pulling back. But I think part of it too is the cleaning, just where they're getting the air from for the cooling package, and because it is up quite high. It is a higher machine anyway, and it's just seems to be keeping everything cleaner. So we struggle with dirt build up in the radiator, and you have to give it a blowout on a hot day a couple of times.
That's the issue.
What is the height?
Don't know.
I mean, folded up would be the same as ours, or similar,
Well, guys, I'm just going to interrupt briefly. We did have some technical issues with the audio equipment, so the rest of this podcast will be just using the microphone on the camera. So hopefully it's still clear enough to understand what's being said. But apologies for the lower quality. It just seems the platform and everything's a bit higher up, I think.
Yeah.
Hungry
And it's a
boards
longer,
quite big.
it's a longer machine.
And the thing is, too, with your cooling, you've got to work on probably 15 to 20% blocked. Well, that's with the old stuff, but maybe these ones you don't have to, Like, you never have it 100% clean, do you? Harvesting, by definition. So, overall,
How'd you get on with the technical side with the screens and buttons?
yeah, they've updated them, haven't they? But
Is it
it's all,
daunting?
no, it seems similar. Yeah.
I think it's just got the same feel, and that's probably what we didn't get a good look around at everything we wanted really, but it was we definitely got the good overview, but it just felt you definitely could tell that the heritage was the same.
Someone asked what horsepower do you think it could go to, and I think they'll. There's talk apparently they're going to update their 21 litre and go to a 6-cylinder. It's a V8 at the moment, so I think that platform could definitely handle 1,000.
So 21 litre drop it down to like an 18 litre if you take 2 cylinders off, or what is that?
No, they'll keep it at 21,
Oh, right,
but
just
they'll go
up
to a
to
6,
6, yeah, righto.
instead of an 8. But I think it would definitely, they've built that machine to handle 950,000 horsepower. I think they'll just work with it as they go.
Well, it's good to have a platform to work with. That's what we really liked about the ones we've got. That platform has sort of continued, and they've just improved it over 10, 15 years.
What was the horsepower on the early ones? 370, 400?
Yeah, 400, that 970, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, and now they're basically, the last of that series got up to 650 or something, didn't it?
which is pretty crazy. An extra 250 horsepower that a platform can handle from when it first come out. But that's something we do like about the New Hollands is they don't seem to change stuff every year. Like there's improvements every year, every model, but the bones of the machine is if it's not giving trouble, it's the same part from when they started back in early 2000s to now. It's the same part, which makes it a lot easier for parts in the area and all of that.
So the only thing would have liked to see, they didn't go much wider in the rotors, but I think they're limited by their chassis width, with the regulations in Europe. But I reckon they don't really need to go to 2 30-inch rotors, but maybe what they're doing is by going a little bit wider but a lot longer, they're getting that efficiency that way rather than diameter. Because that is one probably downside. I think everything was very good to work on, looked like it. Just one thing would be the cleaning fan and the gearbox underneath. That looked like a whole lot of not fun.
Well, we didn't really see how hard the guards were to get off, did we?
No, but still you got tracks in there and you got metal. So it's, I mean, they obviously can do it, but that's probably the only thing I saw that I'd be like, everything else was easy to work on really than our headers. Probably, except for those two things.
That was crazy. He got the button to lift up the chopper and that, and then
It's like John Deere.
but the way they when we went up and had a look there, they're running the chopper the other way to ours, so it's sort of grabbing it and chopping it the same direction, so you're not changing the flow of the material.
In the video, you may not have seen, but at the back wall, it worn the paint off because it's hitting the back wall that hard, and it drops down and the rotors. Yeah, it throws it pretty hard.
Is it stainless steel at the back there?
It needs to be, I reckon.
How would a rock go through there, Brad?
Oh yeah, make a good hole.
But so the other thing on that note is the spreading. That was impressive, wasn't it? And that was quite funny because it's got the radars which detect how fast it's going, and then it adjusts how to get your 60-foot spread. And when it turns around at the end, it doesn't go as far for a couple of metres, and then it detects how far it's going and then flings it out further. So you got covered in dust. You'll see in the video. You were right on the edge of the comb and doing the full test, whether it's reaching the whole way, and then 5 seconds later,
And the beauty with that system is if you go to your 12 metre, it'll only throw 12 metre, Like you're definitely 60.
The spinners were on max.
They're on max, so they had nothing left.
but
That's impressive.
Like it was true. Like we walked and looked at the gap between the two runs, so on the edge of the comb between the two passes, and like you couldn't see a light spot really. Like in some spots maybe like a tiny bit, but how even it was with the spread was really, really crazy. And it wasn't like you only ended up with heavy stuff out there and light stuff in the middle. It was like the whole lot was pretty much the same.
That funky little oscillating thing at the back certainly seems to work. Looks a bit odd, but seems to work. And then they've got the air vents blocked off on the sides, so no air escapes. So they've just really refined it.
For efficiency, because I guess, if you've got a whole heap of airs in your air box, your fan box, and that's wasted air, isn't it? So wasted horsepower.
Yeah.
So they've really.
I think that sieve system has really ticked the box with cutting down costs on maintenance and ease of repair. Like
it was, you stick your head up the back and it's just simple.
Yeah, simple, but bigger sieves, and it's effective. Like it levels it out nicely. It means you've only got one repeat auger up the side, not two, and that worked really well, did it?
Yeah,
you could see how it's thrown it, and the sieves account for that because it's got pressure sensors, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got air pressure sensors, and what that also does is if you've got a blowout in your sieve, so if it's all sort of blocked up and you've got one spot where all the air's going through, it detects that and it'll throw it over. Like it's not just levelling; it's actual. It'll work out if you've got
sieve load.
Yeah,
because like just with the repeats, like you see the other greens and things, and it's quite complicated out. Like so, it augers up the top there to make sure it's evenly across the sieves and that. And This is just one big auger goes straight into the sieves. So
Yeah,
that's
the shaker shoes, the bushes were good to get to too, because you know on ours they're behind the frame, so these are all on the outside.
Oh,
mostly.
that's good to
So
know
you
when
just-
we buy a second-hand one in 10 years' time.
Yeah, that's right.
But Josh said, he said he wasn't sure how the shoe, like the levelling or the throwing it over to one side or the other would work. And yeah, he said he was up in the hills there. I don't know what degrees he said, but it was a fair. He said it was a fair angle they were on, and it was actually throwing it all the way up and then backing it off. Like so, it still even had more to give on this hill. So.
Need a camera in the back there.
Yeah, oh,
We did want to.
we
but
wanted
I don't think
to,
they would have let us.
and it would probably not see much of
They
the
probably
dusty.
wouldn't like a GoPro
Oh.
through the chopper.
No, I was willing to sacrifice Matt's camera for the job, but I don't think they were.
Out of balance chopper. That's good. Good demo.
Would have got the good shot.
And the feeder house, they've widened that
Yeah,
too, eh?
so-
How much have they widened that? for?
Well, about the same as the Raiders, so their big pitch is that the machine is the same
There's
width
no
all the way
pinch
through,
point.
no pinch point. So I
So
suppose
it's
it's big,
what, another 10
4
inches
inches
wide, or?
4 inches, I suppose. If the Raiders are 2 inches bigger, so maybe it's not a lot.
It's the same elevator chain, it's still got the force.
Yeah, it's still got
Four
4. Yep. So it's not a lot. I mean, they talk in percentages and they'll baffle you with percentages, but at the end of the day, it's.
So the other thing I do like too is the concave, eh? When you bust your concave, you don't have shear bolts. So you've got
That's a
an
big
auto
tick.
reset, which is, I think, on the newer 9 dots.
Yeah.
But the also for your rotor speed, your gearbox, what is that, a CV drive thing?
I think it works a bit like the cat steering, the disc steer, where they got a motor in there to change the speed of the steer. They somehow must do that in the gearbox at the back.
They don't have a rotor belt anymore.
Just straight. The only thing we didn't see, I would have liked to seen, is how they're driving the second rotor. And they're running a 3-speed box, so it's all just there easy, but I'm not sure how they're
So
throwing
is
that
the
power.
box a manual adjust, like you've got to get out and adjust like our
No,
ones,
it's
like
in the
high,
cab.
low? Yep.
Okay. That's good, eh? And then, the rotor reverse and the auto reset, they're our 2 biggest things. I did notice it still had the shear bolt on the auger.
Yeah, right. Probably.
I saw
that's-
5 bolts there.
I
I'm
hope
like,
they've
right,
put
yeah.
that's not a half-inch bolt.
Yeah, they need a
now
bigger
rather
bolt,
than
eh?
a 3/8 bolt. With the amount of grain coming out of that sucker.
But if you like, we've got other issues with the header one because it does it fairly often. But really, you should never be replacing shear bolts unless you leave it full of wet grain or something. So
You know you can adjust the top hat on those bins, so that's what we have to do on header one. Just there's been a bit of modification to that too. It's not
Brad's
standard.
been working on it.
Tried to speed her up and all sorts.
So and the last thing I think was the elevator, clean grain elevator. The size of that thing, that was
Massive.
I didn't get the inches or how big exactly it was, but it was huge. You wouldn't be able to get your arms around it.
Right.
So
They're like hugging a bear.
it'd be like 4 times bigger than the ones on the other headers, I reckon. And what do they reckon? It maxes out that it's designed to be able to do 240 tonne an hour.
Yeah.
Was what its maximum output for that.
I've heard
elevator.
between 220 and 250, so.
I want to see it in a sorghum crop, 6 tonne of hectare sorghum crop with a 60-foot front. That would,
That'd do
I
it.
reckon you'd get up past 200 tonne an hour. So, but the biggest thing I want to see is a couple of different headers having a trial side by side.
That's what I said to Matt, I'd love to do that. Get the big class, the big Ideal,
From the X9.
John Deere, and the New Holland and the Case. I mean,
Well, the New Holland and the Case, you'd say they're identical. So
they are, except over here, we're not going to get the AF11. We're just going to get the AF10.
Which is single rotor.
Single rotor,
version.
and I haven't heard the final numbers of the horsepower, so I don't know whether they're going to try and put the same horsepower through.
But you'd have to go the class 11, like the CR11 and the bigger
Yeah.
ones of the John Deere and the
Because some of them have got a little bit more horsepower, like the Class and the Ideal, a little bit higher horsepower, by 20, 15 horses.
They're still in the high
But-
700s, though.
Yeah.
None are over 800.
But the reality is, and that's what we've been talking about, horsepower, I mean, you need it, I love it, but it's got to be the whole package. No point having the horsepower and throwing her out the back.
Well, if you had 700 horsepower on air headers, you'd have quite a lot out the back if you were going to.
You'd have a summertime setup.
Except in sorghum. Remember 2011, that first 90-80 we had, and we harvested sorghum for the neighbour, and the screen blanked out at 120 tonne an hour.
Yeah, it wouldn't handle anymore.
Screen didn't let us see exactly what we're doing.
You could go harder, but the screen just blanked off, so you had no critical readings. You didn't know what you were doing. So, and it wasn't throwing it out; it was doing it easy. But that's sorghum.
Yeah.
So is there with the outloading auger, I noticed it died down a bit on the video. It's so you'd probably use nearly 1,800 horsepower to pump the grain out the auger. Is that got a power chip just for the outloading?
No, she's straight.
They got a little Honda 5 horsepower to help out.
That's probably one thing I reckon would be good, if they could have it like, say the engine do 850 horsepower, something like that, and just that last 60, 70 horsepower is just for unloading, so it's not, the duty cycle's not there, but it's just...
Phil, come on, you know your brother.
Yeah, he would...
He'd chip it so it was there all the time.
I'm twitching.
That's the thing. If they have a 20% boost for unloading, Brad's going to find out a way to give that 20% boost the whole time.
Because if you could just unload without having to slow down, that would be good. But I guess in another way, it's good that you have to slow down when you're unloading.
Yeah, that's true.
For kids learning on the chaser bit.
Probably 15 k's an hour with a 60-foot front with the kids on the chaser thing. Probably a bit sketchy.
Might test Lil out.
But that auger too, they didn't have the extension on that, did they? No. So in the drone shots,
Goes even
it'll go even further. But anyway, I think all in all, it was impressive.
The ironic thing is that Brad and Matt were over there window shopping, and
We're doing important business.
I was back here keeping us grounded, doing the budgeting and stuff
Thanks
like
for
that. So yeah,
We appreciate
I
it.
thought I didn't want to burst your bubble too soon after getting back, but
No, we did the tour of the Wongan Hills Macintosh and Son dealer there, and there was a fair bit of nice stuff there too. That was
We better just quickly about the front. So
Oh,
McDon with the Series 2, good old McDon, we do love Mr. McDon. The knives are deeper, the knife guard, and the knives. They cut more, and the belts are deeper too, which, especially at 60 foot, but even on their 40 foots they're deeper, and man, it's an animal.
that'll be good for canola. It's that bit deeper.
what I wanted is to do is try and test out the front for the contours, but
It wasn't the right country.
There was no contours.
He said we only went off what Josh said, but he said he had done some contour work, and he said it was impressive. Like you just assume at 60 foot you're just never going to get a contour, but I think he.
From
So
saying what
the
it
flex?
is. Oh, downward it actually isn't much.
Yeah. Well, you don't want it sagging too much when you lift it.
So I was surprised with the lacquer down, but the up has got a fair bit. Yeah. My feel is, and I could be very wrong, is that I think it'd be similar to driving ours with the rigid in our contour country,
Well, if you like each pivot point is 25 feet,
I reckon
like because you
the
got
pivots
probably
would be 4 metres maybe, like from the centre.
So you got 20 feet in the middle, and then you got your 22, 23 feet pivot on the wings, eh?
Oh, 318's what's that, 6 metres.
18 metres wide, aren't you?
I reckon the centre's a bit smaller, it might be 4 or 5 and the others might be 7.
It was
might,
good.
might be better than the 80-80, the old 80-80 with the 26.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But it was, he said, the 60 foot front has 3 real sections, and that was really good actually too, wasn't it? When you just see, you don't have a joint like your 2 reels coming together right in the middle. It was all open there because of your, just had the 1 reel in the middle and then on the outside.
The new series 40 feet to have that too.
Yeah.
Good,
It's an option. Yep.
So
That is great.
That was very good to see. But man, that felt like a canola crop coming in, didn't it?
Yeah,
Harvesting that wheat
there's
low
some
and
material.
just how much was going in.
It's putting it away. So no, we do that's something we're wanting to do. We just don't know how to make it work. Is probably update to a flex front, isn't it? A newer front. I think we can see a lot of efficiency there, but the efficiency's got to go past the old interest rate.
Yes, no. Yeah, there may be a time in the future when we can do that, but we've got to knuckle in, don't we, at the moment? So notice what we've got, and
That's what the budget's telling us.
Go hard with what we got at the minute, and we've actually going on that. We've taken on some more country share farming, about 60 k's away. So yeah, they'll hopefully help with our fixed costs, dilute them a bit over a few more hectares.
So that'll be, I think this might be the first time people actually hear of it. So yeah, it's 3,500 acres, which is, how many hectares is that? 1450 hectares. So it's a very sizable chunk. It is a fair way away, but because it's a bigger part, it's worth it, isn't it? Like, it's not
The flat block.
Yeah, we're calling it the flat block. Brad, I think they're in a video coming up, or if it hasn't already been, Brad decided to name it the flat block, which you'll see makes perfect sense. Can't argue with that.
There's no irony in it.
Yeah, when I was down there spraying the other day, I was like looking up at the hills, getting homesick. This is a weird angle.
No rocks, no contours,
So the challenge is, just before we dive into that, Phil touched on it, is the cost of doing business, isn't it? Like, as you guys know, with your house payments and any sort of business, small business, it's really hard now in this environment to keep your costs under control and be profitable. So we're no different in the farming game. Everything, as we talked about earlier, and it's just gone a bit crazy. So we really struggle with our fixed costs. So it's like, Dad's got a friend that reckons if you're not expanding, you're going backwards in farming. And so I think, unfortunately, if we want to stay around, we've just got to keep hooking in, don't we? And so this is a way. It was an opportunity that come up, and we just saw it maybe as a way of trying to keep that profitability there in round numbers without going into any detail. Hey,
Well, we're not going big for the sake of just going bigger.
No.
We just there's a purpose for it.
no survival.
Survival, and if if we could find a way of making 1,000 acres work, that'd be beautiful too. That'd be
we'd
great.
be happy. Yeah,
Have our
exactly.
little hobbies and
Exactly.
Like having to pay for the extra coffee I'm drinking.
That's the problem. That's what's breaking us.
So everyone, go to Damo's and put some money on Dad's coffee tab in the Mitre 10 car park there.
it's probably all our caravans and holidays and that.
Yeah.
But we better edit that one out.
Yeah, I don't have a caravan yet.
It's a fine line, isn't it, guys, with the cost of business and being profitable, but then also taking the time to be able to, like we did, go away and have a fresh mind, because if you have a fresh mind, you make better decisions, you're a better husband and father and hopefully boss or worker.
But it's also just the fact that life's not all about work.
What is?
Clearly, you're talking about going to America and all this stuff,
But that's for work.
oh, yeah, right.
That's for
So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we're
like
going to get a bit more out of you this year.
Yeah, he's trying to tell us now.
You probably
We shouldn't do it over podcast.
yeah, I've decided to cut back my hours.
You probably do need to find a bit more balance by the time you're 40. Otherwise, it's pretty hard to get off that train if you're just geared for, profit, covering costs. Everyone wants a piece of you between your 20s and 40s, don't they? Like, the whole world wants you. And then, if you can't get off that train and realise there's more to it than just work, I've seen a lot of people just don't know how to not work and no time for anything else.
Well, your identity's tied up in your performance and what you can do and your work.
That's me a bit too. Like, I didn't really, I tried a few hobbies, but I couldn't really, nothing really grabbed me. But, it's challenging when you're 65 or thereabouts and you want to retire. There's some challenges. So some handle it really well and some don't. I reckon it's about 50-50.
But we're trying to learn off you guys too, and like you were very strong on, you know, getting a van and spending time making memories with your family while you can, like because you probably regret not doing those things. Even you always struggle with the monetary value of things, don't you? But you then looking back, you go, well, that would have been worth it.
And that's what
You've got to bring your family along with you. There's no point going out doing it all yourself.
because of where I've been, I can see now your kids are sort of mid-teens, and you've got another 4 or 5 years, and they're flown the coop, and you won't get that time back. So I'd be willing, and that's what I said, just sacrifice the farm a bit, because you won't get these years back.
Yeah, so
Which
we're
I
trying
didn't
to learn off the wise.
All the ones that made the silly mistakes.
Actually,
Learn off the stupid.
There's another farmer that said the same. To me, like he's similar age to you. I say, it's interesting.
It's what the saying. Well, the saying that no one really ever says on their deathbed, "I wish I worked harder." But most people say, "I wish I spent more time with my kids." So
And that's probably changing now. There's a lot of people that don't seem to do a lot.
of work.
Yeah.
On the dole. I think they might say, "I wish I were."
Yeah, maybe there's more people saying, "I wish I."
That's what I'm wondering, but you're right. Typically, that's been the case, isn't
I've
it?
taught people used to work themselves to death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but and I think Dad touched on it too. Like, it's no point. Oh no, you did, Phil. I think there's no point going doing everything and working your heart out, putting your heart and soul into your work, and your family's in a different platform. Like, your family's a different area.
Gotta bring them along.
They've got to be with you. Otherwise, it just ends badly. Like, you've got to try and incorporate the family into what you're doing and involve them in however they want to be involved in, but not keep it separate. And you see it a fair bit even with farming, is that the farming's its own thing and it's separate, and then it's not the kind of job that you can. It's not a 9 to 5 job where you just hop in your car, go to work, come back, and it's separate. You have to keep it all together.
One thing makes me sad, and that is family farms being sold. You know, it's it is. It's a lifestyle. You know, that's what I love about farming, is you can have your family involved. Whereas the corporate world, you can't. But farming does give you that opportunity, you know.
And it is hard. Like, we've struggled too with the kids. Like, kids have to learn to do farming. How are they gonna know if they want to be farmers or not, or be any good at farming if they don't do a bit of farming when they're kids? But you know, the red tape and that, it's not too bad at the minute, but that'll probably change. You know, like, yes, it is a risky job too. Like, farming's pretty risky, but it's kind of important to get kids learning and teaching them at a young age about the safety stuff too, isn't it?
Risk.
To be careful and that it's a risk. Otherwise, people get to. It's like a motorbike.
But if you take the risk out of life, it's not living. Being alive is not living.
No, but it's like a motorbike. If you have someone and teach them at 5 years old how to ride a motorbike, and they're just putting around getting good at a motorbike, most of the time they'll find out their limits at a young age, and they'll stick to that, and they'll do what they do. Whereas you get someone that's never been allowed to touch a motorbike until they're 21, and then they hop on it, and they don't know their limits.
They're
and
being
they
used
don't
to tell them, being told not to do this, don't do
and
that.
they get their freedom and they go, and then it is dangerous.
Well, that's something that you taught us early. As kids, you never said no to any motorbike jumps or things that we wanted to do. And you said, you know your abilities. You stick to what you are comfortable with, and you back that. So it's sort of come back onto us. Whereas now, as a parent, I'm struggling with that with my kids. We're going, oh, that's going to hurt if they come off that. That's probably not good. Oh, maybe just don't do that.
but it was even like growing up. If we wanted to climb the silo or something, it'd be like that. You know, Dad'd be like, "Yep, you can climb it, but if you fall, you're gone."
And
like,
Mum,
you know, make that.
And Mum would just make sure she's in the house, can't see it happening.
Yeah, she would always just not know what's going on. But it does, even as a young kid, if someone says, "Look, you can do it," like the fact you're allowed to do it, you start listening and they say, but if this happens, you're gone or you're going to be really hurt. And then you sort of go, oh, it gives you the think. Yeah, you think about
It's
it.
real life training because it's the same with your business or whatever like that. There's risk and risk in everything, isn't there?
When I played football, it was AFL football down in Victoria, but it was the people that hovered around on the edge of the ruck, that weren't committed, that got hurt. The ones that went after the ball, ignored all the other stuff around them, and just went hard for the ball. They're the ones that never got hurt, generally. Yeah. And like I did tell you guys, like, get all the safety gear you can get on your bikes. Don't squib on the cost. Just get every bit of safety gear you can get, put it on, and then go hard. Just give it everything. Don't be half-hearted.
Sort of didn't work for me because I had bloodstone boots for till I was 16, and then I bought my first pair of motorbike boots.
Yeah, but by that stage your ankles were solid, eh, Phil?
Yeah. My kids are on their fifth motorbike boots.
But it's not.
But just a tight one. That's
on a serious note, though, it's not about. And you do see it sometimes. Like you got to be strict with helmets, say, for motorbikes. Like and like that's something, it's different times, but we'd probably get flogged if we didn't have a helmet on back in the day. It's like, no, you need to. It's not, we're just going to duck down to the paddock, and it was sort of like, no, put a helmet on anyway, because being boys, you get on a motorbike and I'll just be in first gear, but that, you want that feeling, don't you? So, but and that's you've got to be wise.
I wonder where.
It's not about just free for all, is it? You gotta. There's safety things available for a reason, but anyway, I don't know. Did we went off on a tangent there?
It was about risk, about
was it the new block?
business. About the new block, and then
the flat block,
and then justifying our extravagant
lifestyles,
and what else?
That was it.
I think that covered
Cost of business. So yeah, hopefully you'll see in the next videos and coming up, guys, all the action and
dozers.
We'll get on the dozers.
We've got another 10 minutes. We can talk about dozers.
If I dust me GoPro off,
I'll have to get a new one for you.
Yeah, it's worn out from all the use.
It's gone all rusty.
Yeah, but I probably do need to pull my finger out with that, and we might have a bit more videos for the D11.
Yes, and we got Dad's ideas of straight piping. We can give him a bit of a teaser. You started it up the other day. What do you think?
Yeah, it was good. It definitely sounds pretty tough, but it does look a bit funny.
We really needed some 8-inch stacks off the side.
8-inch stacks.
You wouldn't be able to get in the door, but... So anyone that hasn't seen, we did do a video, straight piping a D11, and I didn't explain in that video very well, but yeah, it was always just a temporary experiment, bit of fun, but yeah, I think people misunderstood, thought we were making it a permanent feature.
If you guys out there think we take ourselves serious, you've misunderstood us.
This was a vision of Dad's, and he wanted to see it through, and dragged all of us into it somewhere along the way.
As a kid growing up, V8s, and, everyone had headers, extractors and all that, and I thought, oh man, what an opportunity to have the biggest thumping V8 that you can get your hands on and straight pipe it. Wow, wouldn't that be something?
I think you really want to drive it. I think
that's what I'm thinking.
When he come back there yesterday, he wants to bring it down to the main block and clean the fence light up, but I'm thinking maybe I'll just set him up on the dam.
No, I'm just going to wait till you go on holidays.
How good? No, but how about you dig a hole with it?
Yeah, you could dig a hole, Dad.
Yeah, I suppose I could.
Yeah,
sure.
You could actually,
how hard's it to dig a hole with a D11?
You could actually do a hole and vlog it.
Yeah, but
that'd be a big hit.
It's too embarrassing because my technique would be all wrong. It's all smooth.
You just got to dig a hole.
With a D11, you don't always need technique, Dad.
I could come back and clean up the piles. That'd be really good actually. And just so make sure it happens, we mentioned it on the podcast, but with the batteries need
fixing on the D11. But
Yes.
It's a bit sluggish.
Yeah, well, we do have that. I think the batteries are too far gone, but we got that anti-sulfating solar panel set up from that those guys that sent it to us. So we've had that on there for a little while, but I think it's just sort of half kept it so it can start.
Well, I think it's got 4 batteries in that one, whereas Tiny 3's got the 2 batteries. And we put new ones in when we bought it in 2019.
Yeah,
So
they'll
they probably
be-
lasted a fair while.
They're due for new ones, but we'd probably just go to the 2, probably.
We don't have the extreme temperatures, do we? Like
Well,
cold starting.
We probably would have had to replace the batteries 2 years ago if it only had 2 in that. But having
But
4
can you
batteries
pick
just
the-
gives you.
Can you pick the dodgy one, or they'd all be dodgy?
I'd have to test them, but
Never works for us, does it, when we put one in?
it's like batteries is the kind of thing where you always think there's a little bit more life left in that. I'll keep that, but then you just throw
Actually,
them out.
actually, we've got these batteries in here for the truck.
Yeah.
Would they fit?
No,
No. Nothing's too simple.
they're a massive battery in the D11s. They're N
But if you
N200,
had
I think.
4 of them, that'd work.
Oh,
wouldn't
you could do it, but then, yeah, I
it?
wouldn't.
Just
advise
needs
it.
enough room to put me 3 metre sling in there to pull.
Yeah, so if you pull the
other
batteries out of the left side or the right side, then you
Mm.
can put a strap in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Need to.
probably
pull
private
right out.
conversation, isn't it?
So going back to the new block, what's the longest runs we're looking at?
Yeah, 3 Ks.
Got a lot of them.
But it's about 10 kilometres from the point to point, from the longest part.
If we could change the direction, we could have 5K runs. Should be a bit rough.
So it'll mean we probably have to hold back on, like we'll be flat chat. So harvest time there'll virtually be no contracting. Which this year we did, or last year, 2024 we did 2,000 acres of contracting, harvesting, plus a little bit at the end.
Bit more.
Chickpeas.
Bit of chickpeas at the end, so that sort of equals what we would be doing of our own stuff.
You might even
on
get
a
others
flat
in to
lot.
help you a little bit.
So yeah, we'll be busy. What do they think? You guys with the should we go to the progress show in the States in August?
Brad's obsessing.
Well, yeah,
I think after his little trip over to WA,
I think-
is,
I think we might need
Welsh
probably another.
oyster.
We might need another
I think
2
it's you
million.
and me.
yeah.
You and me go over
Well,
there.
the only catch is, and that's why I didn't want to go over to WA, is I've got to have a camera in my face the whole time.
But
So
I think
that's the
if
only
we want to
catch.
get
Lewis, are you happy to do that?
if we want to get sponsored to the Farm Progress Show, I think we need another probably 1 million subscribers. So
A million.
work hard,
A
guys.
million, man.
Man.
I think it'd be good learning,
Yeah.
be interesting, and it'd be interesting. Like there are American viewers out there, so I don't know. It'd be cool to catch up with some of you guys. I reckon. I
Yeah.
find it fascinating.
No, it'd be good.
We just don't
It's
look
a
like
different world.
flogs.
Yeah, no,
We don't want to be a flog.
that's the biggest problem. Like walking around with a camera, talking to people with a camera, it doesn't feel right, does it? But
It's not natural.
it isn't
Well,
natural.
it isn't natural.
Yeah. To be fair, yeah, definitely.
100 years ago, if you'd done that, you would have got some weird looks.
And some sore arms holding the camera. No. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, who knows? I've got a whole heap of young kidlings, so I've got to try and find some time to get away from that. But anyway, guys, we'll leave the podcast there. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks,
And
thanks
we're
for
very-
the comments.
Yeah.
We appreciate the comments.
Yep. So and just remember, it is now on Spotify and
Arca gas.
Spotify.
We are
Apple
gassing at the moment.
podcast. So yeah, you can find us there now too. So thank you guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Good on
All
yous.
the best for the new year.